So I'm going to be 100% honest here. The Fever can't afford to run it back. They can't. They simply put, do not have the funds to... why does every time I go into roster, does it send up a freaking AI question? But they don't have the funds to put their team together. Again. So I'm going to guess what these players are going to cost. I'm going to tell you what it will cost for the Fever to run it back. Before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 57,750 subscribers by the end of the day. We are 46 off. So Kelsey Mitchell is not... I highly doubt Kelsey Mitchell is going to...
The financial reports landed and the boardroom temperature plummeted. Indiana Fever's ownership circle found themselves staring at 2026 payroll projections that resembled a death warrant rather than a budget proposal. No backup plan exists, no emergency funds are available, and the fantasy of maintaining Caitlin Clark's supporting ensemble just evaporated because the mathematics are absolutely unforgiving. This transcends mere roster adjustments and represents a complete abandonment of the franchise's established foundation. The executive leadership is experiencing unprecedented alarm as they grasp that dismantling a championship-caliber nucleus before it reaches full potential might be unavoidable. This situation extends far beyond a temporary obstacle and constitutes a comprehensive institutional emergency that threatens everything previously understood about this organization's trajectory.
57,750 subscribers by the end of the day. We are 46 off. So, Kelsey Mitchell is not... I highly doubt Kelsey Mitchell is going to play for 1 cent less than the Supermax. And I have a feeling she is going to be used, the core designation is going to be used on Kelsey Mitchell to guarantee she stays, and it will be a Supermax for Kelsey Mitchell because there's 1 more year of the core designation. So, with that, we are looking at $1.4 million for Kelsey Mitchell's contract. Odyssey Sims is not going to be coming back. Shout out Odyssey Sims, 27 points in Game 5 of the semi-final.
Let's confront the brutal reality because the circumstances are catastrophic. The Indiana Fever simply cannot maintain financial viability with their current roster configuration heading into 2026. Enthusiasts continue discussing team cohesion and establishing a championship legacy while completely disregarding the unforgiving financial regulations that control the league. Payment cannot be made using aspirations and fantasies, and presently the Fever are examining completely depleted financial reserves. The ownership consortium has arrived at a critical juncture requiring them to choose between retaining their superstars or maintaining a competent supporting cast. This represents a winner-take-all scenario where every dollar allocated to experienced players reduces the resources available to provide Caitlin Clark with essential assistance. Confidential documents are being disclosed, and information emerging from headquarters indicates complete and absolute pandemonium.
Her skill set clashes with Caitlin Clark, Leah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell. If Caitlin Clark is going to be traded, which we know she's not going to be, but obviously in this weird hypothetical, and someone's trying to sabotage the team, and they pull a Nico Harrison, Odyssey Sims would be great to have back. Odyssey Sims in the open market, based on how she did last year, is probably going to command. My guess is if I'm going to guess the median contract in the league is going to be about 450k. I would say she's going to command about 500-ish K, a little bit over the median. As will Ari McDonald. The problem with Ari McDonald is she has not been injured, or she has not been healthy at all in her career. I'm going to say they're not going to keep Odyssey Sims, but I'm also...
The initial significant piece to collapse is Kelsey Mitchell, and her financial demands will create tremendous disruption throughout the executive offices. Absolutely no possibility exists that she accepts anything below the Supermax compensation. The discussion involves a $1.4 million obligation solely to retain her services in a Fever uniform and prevent her departure without compensation. The organization will almost definitely need to apply the core designation to secure her. This strategy effectively binds her while simultaneously constraining the team's salary cap within an iron grip. A substantial portion of the budget vanishes before filling the second roster position. This represents a dangerous wager that numerous ownership group members are beginning to oppose, concerned it will render the team extremely unbalanced.
Heavy and vulnerable.
To give money to injured players. It's very, very rare. Bree Hall won't be coming back, so let's just ignore her. Shea Petty won't be coming back. Natasha Howard. So, Natasha Howard is going to want a max contract. She's not going to deserve a max contract. Some dumb team is going to give her a max contract. My expectation is that somewhere Natasha Howard is going to make 900k. And I don't think people want the Indiana Fever to run it back with Natasha Howard, but I have a feeling they're going to run it back. They're going to try to run it back with Howard. I have this really bad feeling they're going to try to run it back with Howard. Then you've got Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston's contract is going to be, she's going to make the max.
However, the pandemonium extends beyond superstar contracts, as the middle-tier players are generating the genuine complications. Consider Odyssey Sims, who despite delivering remarkable performances including those 27-point explosions, will almost certainly depart. The reason stems from her playing style conflicting significantly with the system Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are constructing. Within the free agent marketplace, her recent productivity will command substantially more than median contract value. The discussion involves approximately $500,000 for a player who could potentially impede the growth of franchise cornerstone players. Ownership examines that price point and responds with absolute rejection. They cannot rationalize investing such resources in a player incompatible with their long-term blueprint.
Caitlin Clark right now is going to be at $500K. So you're looking at then, so we've got one player here in Caitlin, 2 in Lexi, 3 in Sophie, 4 in Leah, 5 in Howard, 6 in Ari, 7 in Kelsey Mitchell. You now no longer have, there is now, for a 7 million salary cap, this is just, again, based on my expectations. You now have to fill out the entire team with vet minimum players or lower, and you can't afford your first round pick.
Returning to the current roster creates the devastating reality regarding bench rotation players including Ari McDonald. The issue here involves availability rather than ability. Throughout her professional career, she has battled staying physically ready, and the Fever cannot afford wagering on uncertainty any longer. Despite being a reliable contributor when actually competing, ownership hesitates committing $500,000 to someone potentially spending half the season receiving medical treatment. Professional sports involves harsh business decisions, but the WNBA demonstrates this peculiar tendency of providing substantial compensation to injury-prone players. And Fever ownership is finally establishing firm boundaries. They refuse continuing payment for performance that never materializes on the court during crucial playoff moments.
To run it back means the Fever literally, and that is by the way, undershooting what these players are going to go for. They're going to go for more money than this. I'm undershooting this. The remaining 5 players with Indiana Fever have to be vet minimums, which means that it doesn't matter who's that 10th pick is, they can't afford to keep them. Players on this team that will be vet minimums. KK Timpson is going to cost about $300K. I think she's going to cost the minimum if you keep KK Timpson. We have seen that Sid Colson and Bree Turner are going to command more than the minimum. Why?
The circumstances surrounding Natasha Howard present even greater volatility. Reports suggest she will demand maximum contract compensation, despite her recent performance not necessarily warranting such investment levels. The concern within the Fever organization centers on some misguided franchise actually providing that compensation, forcing Indiana to either overspend or sacrifice a crucial interior defensive component. Expectations point toward her seeking approximately $900,000 compensation. Ownership currently refuses the concept of matching such proposals. They possess serious concerns that attempting to maintain Howard will create a financial dead end. This standoff could divide the locker room while leaving supporters questioning who will defend the paint.
They might have to let Sophie or Lexi walk. And running it back is not even an option. Like, they might literally have to keep their first round pick, they might have to get rid of Kelsey Mitchell. Like, that is the extent of the financial issues, that they might actually have to get rid of Kelsey Mitchell to keep their first overall pick. With a lot of this team building, it becomes awkward. And then you take into account that Caitlin Clark's on a max next year. Like, you can't keep Kelsey Mitchell in 2027. And if you keep Kelsey Mitchell in 2027, someone did the maths and they're like,
now addressing the franchise foundation, Aaliyah Boston. Her contract negotiation approaches, and without question, she will accept maximum compensation. That represents another $1.2 million immediately removed from available resources. Combining her total with Kelsey Mitchell's Supermax results in nearly $3 million allocated to just 2 players. Role players remain unaddressed, yet the budget already pleads for relief. Ownership examines these calculations, realizing they are constructing an unstable foundation. Should one player suffer injury or underperform, the complete structure crumbles because insufficient funds remain to purchase insurance through quality depth. The expectations placed on Boston to deliver MVP caliber performance have become astronomically high.
If you do what the Phoenix Mercury did last year. Except you're not going to be able to sign a Sammy Wickham. Basically do what the Mercury did last year. And the Indiana Fever are I'm not going to say the worst scouting team, but are up there in the worst scouting teams. They scout like it's 2015 again. So them, the Aces, the Sky, they don't scout overseas. They don't look for these players like someone, like you even look at the Lynx, like they brought in Badian last year, who would have been fucking great for most teams. She just didn't want to come back after Eurobasket. There is a lot of talent overseas that you're going to have to look for, and the Fever aren't going to look for that. So what the Fever are going to end up doing is you're going to end up getting a bunch of...
The mathematics become increasingly frightening when examining fan-favorite players like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall. Sophie will not accept below-league average compensation. That simply will not occur. She understands her market value, and while potentially offering a small loyalty discount, someone will propose a contract around $700,000. The absolute minimum the Fever could hope retaining her involves $500,000. Then Lexi Hall exists as a restricted free agent, and due to that designation, she might actually command higher compensation if another franchise becomes aggressive. Ownership stares at two role players who could easily cost another $1 million combined, watching the return roster dream expire through expensive deterioration.